So let's start with some introductions. Greg, you're on the left side. Might as well. Does that red thing mean it's recording? Gotcha. That's good to see. All right. So Greg, let's start with you. Tell us who you are and what you're up to.
Greg Bauer. I am in my second semester of graduate work from the English department. Most importantly, and most excitedly though, is my second Dr. Stewart class. And so I'm excited, looking forward to the class. I am in my 21st year as a public educator. I'm the superintendent over at Conwell-Picton schools, and I was a former English teacher and history teacher, and now just want to go back to school and learn more English. That's what I love. So here I am.
I think if I go back, it'll be either psychology or history. Probably psychology. I don't know. Like I'm gonna go back. Why are we even? Okay, the second person, blue shirt. I don't know your name. I don't think.
Jeremy Clifford.
Okay, Jeremy.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so I'm a teacher at North Mesquite High School. I teach senior English, college prep, and this is actually my start for my second master's degree. My first is in education.
Okay, excellent. What made you decide to do this?
I want to teach dual credit.
Okay, yeah, that's, so you're going for 18 hours?
No, I don't want to halfway do something.
Do what?
I don't want to halfway do something. I'm going to get the full degree.
You're going to get the master's. Okay. Yeah. All right. Very good. Lynette?
Hello, I'm Lynette Verassi. This is my 19th year of teaching. I teach in Garland ISD, not far from where Jolene works. And I am halfway through the master's program. I started out doing the 18 hours so I could teach dual credit, and Dr. Stewart and Dr. Hunter convinced me that I could handle the master's, and I'm enjoying it. This is my fourth class, I think, with Dr. Stewart, and then the annoying person, right?
Me too.
And then the doggo behind me. This is our rescue pet who will not leave me alone. This is Kaina. She's part beagle, part German Shepherd, and thinks she's a cat. So she's a hot mess, but she'll stay there for most of it because I'm sitting in the living room.
Okay.
I'm curious, Dr. I'm curious to ask her. I haven't. I used to work in Garland, so I'm curious what school she did in Garland.
I was gonna say, Greg, you look familiar to me. I was at South Garland, and now I'm at Naaman Forest.
That's it. See, I was at South Garland, and I was at Sam Houston Middle School, and then South Garland for. When were you
at South?
Oh gosh, around 04, 05, maybe 04,
okay.
06.
That's when I'd been there about 4 years, but I was gonna say you look very familiar.
I was the English tax coordinator at the time.
Okay. Yes. I remember you. We worked together a lot with my juniors.
Yeah, I thought you looked familiar too. So good. Small world.
Right?
Big school. Hard to remember.
Okay, then Jill.
Jill is starting my second year in this grad program, and I hope I'll graduate in the spring. I don't work right now. I stay home and keep my about to turn 4-year-old granddaughter most of the time, which is actually a full-time job. But and I'm hoping to go to start teaching once I finish this. I did my undergrad degree in psychology, but when I finished it,
has served her well.
And it has. It's amazing how it all, psychology and literature just run hand in hand. So, and then history. I'm like you. History would be my third. They overlap greatly. But
yeah, I'm really like history.
Yeah, definitely. But I was out of school for 25 years, I think. I only had 2 semesters left to finish my degree in psychology. So I went back year before last and finished that, and it just kind of got my feet wet in academics. Decided to go ahead and do my master's degree. So, and I can't always stream in. I heard somebody talking about having a hotspot. We live way out in the country, and we don't have internet. I have the hotspot, and I can't stream. So I'm at my daughter's house in town right now. So.
Okay. All right, and there's somebody I recognize, Kirsty.
Hi, I'm Kirsty Padovan. I don't know what year I'm in. I feel like I've been working on my master's forever, but I have 5 classes left. That's the number I have memorized, 5 classes left. I am a mother of 4 beautiful children in my 7th year of teaching, but we just started a new curriculum, so I'm teaching enriched literacy now. So it's like a hardcore reading class for 7th graders.
Okay. Is that by any chance Allie?
Yes.
I don't think we've actually met, have we?
No, ma'am.
Just through classes. All
Yeah.
right.
Yes. I'm Allie Schmaltz. I have 5 classes left as well. That number is stuck in my head. I teach at Flower Mound High School. I teach English 2 pre-AP, and this year I have just GT sections, so that's a new challenge for me. And I'm coaching academic decathlon. I have 2 4-legged children, Harper and Coy, who you may accidentally hear in the background from time to time. They're my puppy dogs. And yeah,
Okay, so they aren't human. Okay, just checking. Okay, little punchy funky.
All right. It's not even 9 o'clock, right?
It's a good thing it's not happening at 7, and my usual 7:20, isn't it? Although I kind of missed that because I used all day long to prepare. So now I have to really rethink how I do stuff. Let's start with Emily.
Okay, I'm Emily Bauer. I think the 3 of us, or the 4 of us, 'cause
Yeah.
I think you streamed in online, had children's a year ago.
Yeah.
So I'm in my 2nd year of the master's program, and it's my 1st semester teaching as a GA here. So that's new, interesting, fun. So yeah.
What
We'll see how it goes.
Are you tutoring, or are you doing 100 or what?
1301.
1301.
2 classes.
Okay. Okay. I have 1302.
Oh, that's exciting.
I do. True. Just regular run-of-the-mill 1302. Okay.
I'm Alex Bork. This is my 4th or 5th Dr. Stewart class. 2nd year of my master's. I am a tutor in the Writing Center, and I am the only person in the whole department who returned this semester, so I'm learning how to put out fires everywhere.
That's a good, great for administration.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy, to say the least, the way things worked out this semester. People were supposed to be TAs and GAs, and just said on Sunday, oh, sorry.
Oh, wow.
I know, that was pretty bad. Shay.
I'm Shay Cooper. This is my 2nd year in the master's program. I think I've taken a Dr. Stewart class every semester since I started.
You have a following.
I do. You can't help it because I direct the master's program, kind of, but still, yeah.
Yes. So, challenging yet enjoyable classes. So, I'm a mother of 2.5. I'm expecting it due November, so that's going to be fun. So
It's going to be on my birthday. I see 8.
well, we'll see.
15th is my mom's.
He's due on the 21st. If he's anything like his siblings, it'll be December. So,
December 21st.
God, oh gosh. I'm not working. I'm getting my master's, hoping to teach secondary high school English with the dual credits and all that mess. I'm considering going into the doctorate program because I'm just crazy.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Delay those student loans another 4 years.
I'm Julie Cash. This is my 2nd year in, my 2nd year in the graduate program. This is my 5th Dr. Stewart class. My 6th one is online this semester because it's my final semester. Go team, this is my victory lap. And so if I appear a little frazzled this year, that's why. I'm also currently in a new job, a new position. I'm the early college high school coordinator / magnet advisor for South Garland High School. And so new program, the only one that's in Garland. And so everybody's kind of watching us. And so pressure there, pressure here. I like pressure, I guess. So
That's how you turn into diamonds, right?
I know, right? Like I'm gonna be all kinds of sparkly and not even a vampire. So
Okay. I'm Andrea Martinez. This is my second semester in the master's program. My first Stewart class was actually in my undergrad, but it was half a semester with you since you had to leave mid-semester. That's okay.
Was that cancer year?
But that's okay. I'm back to return. I am currently starting a new job at Collin College as a TA type position and helping professors working with their students in class. So that should be a new position for me. I'm also a brand new aunt. My sister just gave birth in July, so it's a great new season for me.
Okay.
I'm Jennifer. This is my 5th class in my master's degree. I have a first grader, and I teach at a charter school. I teach English 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. A lot of planning.
I don't think I could do that. I mean, I have a really hard time planning as it is. So.
It's a smaller environment, so on average, my class sizes are about 13.
That's good.
So I've got about 80 students, but I'm responsible for 4-star tests, and it's a lot of planning, but it's interesting.
Mercy. Yeah, that's what we'll say.
Yes. Hi all, I'm Marzieh. I come from Iran, and it's almost 1 whole year I've been staying here. I'm doing my PhD in English literature. Of course, I haven't decided what area to concentrate on more. Children's literature or American literature. I haven't decided
American
yet.
literature, I'll tell you right now.
Oh, do you? Okay.
If you want to get a job. That sounds real positive. Thanks. Okay.
Of course.
It's okay to do your master's, but not a PhD. Not anymore. I'm just being frank. You wouldn't want me to be anything else, but would you?
No. Okay, thanks for coming. And this is actually my 2nd year in this program. I also have 2 classes that I teach 1302. I teach 1302. This is, of course, my 2nd experience teaching this course.
How is it?
It's good, right? Good. This semester is much easier for me because I have experience of teaching it once.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah.
My name is Jeannie Davis, and I'm in the doctoral program. I'm breathing down the neck of the finish line, I think. And this is my 5th class with. And sorry.
And Marie.
I'm Marie Webb, and I've never had an official class with Dr. Stewart. I just kind of stalk her. I like to sit in on her classes, but I am the supporting graduate assistant. I make sure that the recordings get done for the dual modality classes for the literature and languages.
And I see Jennifer. Is that you, Jennifer? Who came in? So where are you in everything now?
Yeah, so I'm Jennifer Ellison. This is my 5th semester, I think, with A&M-Commerce, my 4th class with Dr. Stewart. Hopefully I'll be graduating next year. The summer is why it just flew by, but there was 2 courses there. But yeah, so I teach English 2 at an early college high school in Central Texas, near Austin, South Austin. And it's my 7th year of teaching, but my 2nd at early college.
Okay, very good. So let me see who is not, and we'll introduce those people online. Kinsley? In my 2nd semester as a graduate student, I was drawn to the class because my interest in both children's and adolescent literature and my undergraduate work. I find the topic fascinating and even more so the approach this course will take with critical race theory. I work full-time, so my participation will mostly be online, but I plan to stream in when I can and get the most out of the course. I'm so excited to dive into these wonderful stories and to begin learning again. Good luck to everyone on your fall semester, and good luck to you. Daisy. Okay, so here's Daisy. Hello, everyone. My name is Daisy Carmona. Is that right? Mm-hmm. I live in San Antonio, Texas. Oh, I guess that means you're not going to drive in. Just kidding. I am working on the MA in English fully online, and I am in my second semester of courses at TAMU-C. I hope to try and Zoom in for classes on Wednesdays, but I will have to take this week by week as my office hours are during part of our class time, so I may not be able to join in every week. My background is not in English, but instead library science and educational psychology. I hold graduate degrees in both fields and worked as children's librarian for the Air Force for over 8 years. How interesting is that? I'm a full-time faculty member at the community college system in San Antonio, and I hope to complete my English degree so that I can teach across more than one discipline. I hope to survive this semester, as do I, and I think everybody. Yeah. Does it feel like we've already been working really hard and this is only the first day? Geez, I don't know what to think. I have 2 overload courses this semester, so I'm teaching 7 courses, as well as the coursework for my classes here at TAMU-C. I'm married with 3 children, so my life is busy and wonderful. I look forward to meeting everyone this semester, and we look forward to meeting you. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe you're doing that. Katie is working toward my master's in English. I have loved all the classes I've taken with Dr. Stewart, so I'm truly looking forward to this. I am in my 6th year teaching at the high school level, but this will be my very first teaching sophomores at a new school, so that has shaken things up a bit. I'm hoping to be on Zoom calls, but my school has an impressively heavy load of faculty meetings most Wednesdays. Insert eye roll. Let's all do one for her. So I will be on a week-to-week schedule. My husband and I have 3 beautiful kiddos, so my role changes from mommy to teacher to baseball mom to student throughout the day. It's a busy time, but I'm looking forward to all of the new ideas we will explore in this course. Also, it's good to see some familiar names on these boards. Yes, indeed. You have seen a few already. Stephanie Franklin. My name is Stephanie. I'm 29 years old and live in Dallas. I received a bachelor's degree in Spanish from TAMU, from the mothership. And now, after a few years out of school, I find myself starting my 4th semester here at TAMU-C in order to receive a master's degree in English. My hope is to continue honing my critical thinking and writing skills to explore further career opportunities. I tend to be one of the few students who isn't a teacher, but I always end up learning so much from my classmates who are. I'm looking forward to meeting you all, as well as getting reacquainted with those I've taken classes with in previous semesters. While I have some of the beginning of semester jitters, I'm very much looking forward to this class, as I find the theme very interesting, and it's one I think will open up a great discussion. I'm eager to get reading. I hope everyone has a fantastic start to this new semester, and we hope you do too. And Jamisa Brown, I'm part of the Masters of Arts in English program. I'm a former Texas Tech graduate who plans to use this preparation in understanding English literature to become a college professor in English in the future. I also plan to do some volunteer tutoring at a local literacy group to gain a better local understanding of teaching while participating in this program. So welcome to all of you. This semester is different. I finally got them to figure out that when I said I want the classes together, they put the classes together and they stayed together. So that's pretty awesome because they didn't last time, last semester, or last spring, and it was pretty complicated because of that for me. But now everybody, it's all one class. Even if you're online, if you're face-to-face, if you're doing one or the other, or if you're streaming in, it doesn't matter. It's everybody gets to see everybody else's work. So keep that in mind. I'm going to, as most of you, since I think almost everyone has taken at least one class with me, but you haven't.
Sorry.
You know what? How lucky am I? How lucky am I who have students who want to come to my class and Don't say it.
You're good at what you do.
That's not luck.
Right.
I have to tell you, Dr.
Well-
Stewart, after my daughter's accident in the summer, my parents said, surely you're going to take a semester off. And I said, no way, Dr. Stewart's teaching my class this semester. And they even know who you are, so.
Oh my. She doing okay?
Yeah, it's going to be a long road, but she's doing well.
Oh well. You've got us on your side.
Thank you.
All right. I know this works. Someone, there it is. So as you know, this is Problems in Adolescent Literature, and we're doing critical race theory to start with, and it's going to be throughout the semester. Were you all surprised at the book list I have? In any way? Anything unusual about it? Did you notice that there are only 3 white authors, I think? Or are you just used to that?
We're just kind of getting used to it.
We're
yeah.
used to that with you.
And here's what's coming up, what we're going to do today. And we're not going to even get touched on anything because everything was kind of late. I was late in getting things started. Because I forget what the first day of semester is like. Probably it's something to do with denial.
It's called avoidance.
That's it. We'll be talking about the assignments, talking about face-to-face, online, and Zoom, and the advantages of each one. Talking about what constitutes productive questions. Oops, got out of line there. CRT responses. Go over next week's reading and assignment again. And we'll stop the video at 6:50 because there's another class that comes in at 7:20, but she's changing hers to 7:30, and she's doing the same thing. Marie has to download everything that happens in this class, and it can take anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes to do that. So we wanted to make sure there's plenty of time because it's Dr. Pajek that's going to be in the next class. She took the 7:30 class instead this time. Brave. How do we talk about race? So we're going to be talking about all of these things today.
We got a new person.
We got a new person, Dr. Stewart.
Ooh, hello.
Hello, sorry, I couldn't find the phone
Katie.
number.
Oh, it's Katie. Hi, Katie.
Hi, sorry.
All right. Tell us about yourself.
I'm Katie G. I teach high school at Aubrey High School this year. I am in the doing my MA in English with children's lit concentration, and I'm super excited to be teaching or to be taking another one of your classes. Oh, and my daughter's sorry.
I'm seeing a theme.
We're going to
Yes.
start a fan club.
All right. Well, welcome, Katie. And Katie came to our reception
Friday.
Thursday.
last week.
I wanted to be here, but I had to come into town on Wednesday, and 2 days in a row that commute's not
Yeah.
favorable to my gas tank.
I guess I should tell you a little bit about myself, although apparently we're just one big happy family. I have a very interesting life. You know, that's an old proverb that may you have an interesting life, which is a curse, actually. May you have a dull life. Okay, that sounds like fun, too. Let's see, what's going on? So I'm teaching this class. I'm teaching 595. I teach the master's final project. You can take a thesis, or you can take 595, and I always advise to take 595, even though it's 36 hours instead of 30, because you'll actually make it through, most likely. Like 90% chance, 99% chance that you'll make it through. I have a horse, 2 cats, getting ready to move my horse to Missouri this week. Friday, he's going to Missouri because my parents live there, and so I visit there quite a bit. So I'm there on the weekends, and now I'll have all the people I really love right there. Well, chickies not are people, but you know.
They count.
It counts. And let's see, I've been doing this gig since 2004, so I'm in year 15, going on 16. I plan to retire in about 3.5 years. Yes, not that I'm counting. And let's see what else is going on.
That means I'll be graduated in about 3.5 years.
Same.
I was just contemplating that too.
That's never get it done. I do want to say to everybody, PhDs and master students, $5.99. You need to take $5.99 if you haven't already. So that is coming up in the spring. So you get your names on that $5.99 list immediately. It should be done just like this class is, and I've taught it before. And who had $5.99 with me? Okay, so you guys won't take it. But it's only offered in the spring, so take it as soon as you can.
I was going to ask, since you mentioned like in this course to everybody, you mentioned you recommend $5.99 instead of $5.18. Can you say why?
At $5.95 instead of $5.18.
Yeah.
Yes, doing $5.95 instead of writing a thesis, because students, it's only 30. The 518 thesis is only 30 hours. However, you have to be really on top of stuff, because you do you take exams, you write a proposal and defend it, and then you write a thesis and defend it. And you can take your exam and write a proposal and defend it in one semester, but you can't do all three in one semester. And so you're going to be writing an extended text, probably 50 to 70 pages long. You need to have a committee get together, and committees are notoriously slow. Did I send out the paper?
Yes.
Did I send out the attachment on it?
Yes.
Okay. It's just easier. And about 90% of students who go with the 518 change their mind and end up with 595 or don't complete at all. Because they get to that last part where they're working on their own, and that's not always good for some students.
Okay, I was only curious.
So that's basic.
I was always really insecure about not doing the thesis track, and I was happy to hear what you just said.
Yeah, it depends on what you want to do afterwards too. But even at that, it's better. I think it's better to have 36 hours of coursework. Well, it'd be 33 hours of coursework than 24, which is what you get if you do the thesis. You've got such a better background and larger scope to work from. So that's just my opinion.
I appreciate you saying all that. It's been an insecure feeling not doing that. So for me.
Oh no, I encourage everybody to take 595, but it's also one's choice. So.
Dr. Stewart, can I ask a quick
Yes.
question? You mentioned that we need to get on a list or something to take 599 or 595 next semester. What do we do?
You don't get, you just register for it when it comes up.
Okay.
It's not getting a list. It's not a list, but the minute that you have a chance to register for it, register for it.
October.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Because it fills up super quick.
October when?
21st.
Thank you.
So, and like I said, I'll be operating it just like this one, online, streaming, face to face.
And I know you just said this.
I assume they're going to have me teach it. I don't know. I'm pretty good at it now, so. And nobody else wants to teach it.
I know you just said this, but $5.99, right?
$5.99.
Okay.
Yes.
That's the first one.
Thanks, Jolyn. I'll get with you.
Yeah.
You guys have got a great network, so I'm not worried about you at all. Syllabus. Have you all had a chance to look at it?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. And you have your books mainly?
Yes.
No. Working on it.
Most of a lot of them there are electronic, so you can access them that way if you don't mind reading digital stuff. And they're also many of them are on Audible. But if you ever want to write a paper on one, it's best to get either electronic or hard copy.
Dr. Stewart.
Uh-huh.
Tell you something funny. I got all my books electronic this semester, and I was ordering them kind of fast, all the ones for your class and all the ones for Dr. Hayes' class. And I got a fraud alert from the bank. I had so many.
Yes, because it's a lot of books. Yes, because
it was 21 between your class and his. There was 21 books, and I got a fraud alert that said too many transactions.
Bookworms are often, bookworms are terrible about hijacking somebody's identity so that they order more books. Right.
You know it's going to be a wild semester when your bank gives you a fraud alert.
That is funny. That is funny. But remember, mine are short, except for one of them. So that's not too bad. So my assignments are all scaffolded. I love that. They you don't have to make do them scaffolded. You can change your mind in midstream about what you want to do. But I set it up so that one assignment leads to another because I am such a firm believer in that. It makes my life easier. It makes your life easier. You get this really nice, rich picture of research and kind of how it can work together and what it can do and what it can produce. I don't know where this assignment came from. I must have crazy dreams that that I come up with these assignments. So it's called the If You Were To assignment. And it gives you, these basically cover the books that we're working with. So Black Panthers, there's 2 novels that deal with Black Panthers, and that's One Crazy Summer and the Rock Between a Rock and a River. Is that it? Yeah. So both of those deal with Black Panthers. So write a paper on Black Panthers is depicted in adolescent and or young adult literature, Latinx or Latinx resistance, internment, and you can see internment. Oh, whoops, I don't know why that's repeated, but it is. Look, it's 3 times. Really want to now. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I don't know.
Do you think your son missing?
Possibly.
Subconscious.
I think so.
Are you feeling a little trapped?
Well, I've already started. You've heard
it's a little bit of forced migration. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, it is Freudian. I'm already in my Freud existence because this doesn't usually happen until the end of the semester. You've heard of Freudian slips. And the one that is most common with me, and I know that I'm stressed, is that when I close my emails out, I write best. I'm already writing beset by mistake. And all I can do is, it's too early for that. It's too early.
At least it's not breast.
Oh, guess what's going to happen now? I don't think we have any novels, LGBTQ characters. I don't, but I wanted to make sure that you have that option. Race, ethnicity and invisibility, trauma, and something, violence as a result of ethnicity, race, something as depicted in adolescent and young adult literature. So, and I'm going to go through my novels and see what I missed. I think I've got everything covered. But you can also come up with a different topic if you wish. Just send it by me. All right, so if you were going to write on one of those topics, you would write a brief introduction of 350 words of and provide a bibliography of primary texts, and with so 3 novels, and then with 3 secondary texts, that's scholarship. And your brief introduction would be explaining what it is you think you want to do. So and why. So you would, I don't suppose I made an example of that, did I? I didn't write one, did I?
I don't think so. Could we pull from other classes? Because you know about my obsession with invisibility this summer, I'm just saying.
Well, and invisibility is all over this one. So, or you can suggest something, but it needs to be specific, and it needs to be, attached to this class in some way. So dystopia and adolescent young adult novels would be too broad, but dystopia and race, ethnicity, and or gender would work, and you'd follow the above parameters. You like that?
I'm excited.
You say that now.
No. Like, I'm serious. Like, in the picture books, everything I wrote dealt with invisibility. So I'm excited to apply it, not to picture books, but to general lit.
To take it farther.
Do not put that on me.
So what needs to be included in the introduction?
Basically, what your idea is for writing, for gathering this information, for writing on the topic, one of these topics. An introduction that you would explain, I'm writing, this is the topic I would be writing on, and this is why, and maybe something that you know about it. It's not, it can be very informal, and I'll do my very best to write an example.
Is it like a proposal?
Kind of, yeah.
And on the primary text, do all 3 novels need to come from a reading list?
No, none of them need to.
Okay.
But they do need to be adolescent or young adult.
Right. Gotcha.
This is probably a dumb question, but with the bibliography of the primary texts, it's just the source citation. There's no annotation with it.
No annotation. See how easy it is?
I'm loving that.
So far.
Yeah. Just wait.
I'll say it'll get harder.
I know, but at least, I don't feel like my feet are on fire yet.
No, not yet. That's absolutely right. So you'll also be writing a proposal for this edited collection, and I'll be talking about that in more detail. You can work from these for your edited collection. So see, the edited collection is identified below. Write a 350-word proposal for your edited collection and include a bibliography of scholarship. 5 entries. There won't be any novels. You intend to provide a 3-sentence summary of each article.
So that scholarship is the secondary part of the text?
Yes. So, all right, so your edited collection, and this is, you'll be working on it, I'll have things due throughout the semester so that you're not left to do it all at the end. So I'm forcing you to work on it as you go. And that forces me to grade as I go too. So it's for everybody's benefit. You're going to create an edited collection of scholarship. Cohesive collection that reflects the nature of this class, which consists of a table of contents, an introduction, 3,000 words, and a summary annotation for each entry, including the bib information. Those summaries annotations should be 300 to 350 words, not including the bib information, no more, no less. It'll have a table of contents where you list the title of each article and the author. You'll divide this collection into 2 or 3 parts, and all of that tells you what your introduction should do and what your annotations should do. So kind of what you're doing is this.
Okay, so this edited collection would be the final project, correct?
Mm-hmm. Okay. But you will have been working on it.
Right.
So no procrastination for us.
Pretty much not. I'm forcing you.
I'll work on that.
But you can procrastinate in small increments.
Small increments.
As you go.
All right. I'm just saying, I get some of my best work the night before.
You have more opportunities to procrastinate.
Sounds good.
Ooh.
Is the introduction like a bibliographic essay? Is that how it?
Not really. No. So if you were to open an edited collection is a book that one person or more than one person puts together. They put out a call for papers and they say, we're looking for essays on a particular topic. They send your proposal to us and we'll say yes or no. And then you write, if we say yes, you write a chapter on that. Uh-huh. You've all come into contact with edited collections. You just might not know that's what you were working
So like
with.
a collection of critical essays?
That's correct.
Like the one in there?
Exactly.
Okay.
Anthologies.
Yeah. But they call them edited collections because it's an editor.
Gotcha, because they're not the ones doing the actual writing.
They usually write the introduction.
So besides that.
Yeah, and they might write an individual essay.
And that makes more sense, because I remember looking at that syllabus and going,
What?
what is that?
Yeah, I knew that would happen. So you can see in this introduction, Angela Hubler, she's wonderful. She writes the introduction because this is her collection. She's the one that put out the call for papers. She's this expert in historical materialist criticism for children's literature. These people responded. Others responded too, but not necessarily, not everybody got into it. So here are the titles of, why is that all caps? Okay, they all are, never mind. Don't do all caps. So classic, Aggression in Children's Literature by Mervyn Nicholson, Shopping Like It's 1899, Gilded Age Nostalgia and Commodity Fetishism and Alloy's Gossip Girl, Precious Metals, the Newbery Medal, the YRCA and the Gold Standard, children's books. You can see these are all by different authors. Everything should have some kind of historical materialist bent to it, because that's the nature of this edited collection. And then, I think I have the actual introduction and I can upload that so you can see what it looks like. What are you laughing at?
One of the chapters was called Bloodthirsty Little Brats.
I just said that was my life.
Isn't that good? So what Hubler did on this is she's the expert on it. So she takes the advantage to situate all those essays within this discussion of historical materialism in children's literature. So she's talking about Marxism in it. She explains Marxism, the problems, how fraught it is, because, good Lord, if you're practicing Marxist criticism, you must be a Marxist. You must be a communist, in fact.
Oh my.
Lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. A political economist. So she's talking economic. Thank you. So she's giving a background as a way to actually read all of this text. See, she's talking about base and superstructure, which are very Marxist terms. And then she talks about ideology. Whee! And she talks about why we are not all historical materialists now, have not been a favorable or fertile period for Marxian thought, and most certainly not for Marxian revolutionary politics. As a consequence, a whole younger generation has grown up bereft of familiarity with, let alone training in Marxian political economy. But if you take my classes, you end up with some Marxism.
Oh yeah.
Feminist historical materialism, which is, she's what do you call it when you narrowing her narrowing everything. So she's given this broad Marxist summary, and now she's honing in on feminist historical materialism because it's different, a little bit different. And then she narrows it further, historical materialist analysis of children's literature, new contributions. And here, in this, she gives an overview of what each essay is about. Several essays argue that the texts that appear to be progressive, in fact, offer hegemonic views of their subject matter in We're All One, Money, Magic, and Mysticism, and Mary Poppins. Sharon Smulders argues that while the working class, so you can see what it's slightly like a bibliographic essay, but not really.
instead of saying, here's all the scholarship, and setting it up for you like, hey, this is how to read it, this is how you should proceed, and now here's a scholarship.
The scholarship that's contained in this book.
Well, which implies that it's the most pertinent because I picked it,
Yes.
right?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Dr. Stewart,
Yes.
do you only use the collection that you put together for your supporting sources, like in the introduction, or do you use other?
Well,
that makes sense?
Hubler does cite other texts. She cites other scholars, not associated with the ones that the chapters that she's included. Is that your question?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you'll have your own work cited.
Okay.
In this.
So the first part of the introduction is that where you could use outside sources.
If you're setting it all up, you're setting.
Then you do kind of an annotated bib or
exactly
or bibliographic essay. Okay.
Yeah, and you show how they're connected and some of the similarities and things that you think are important.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I have that as a PDF, and if I do, I'll upload it for you. But usually what happens is in an edited collection, you'll have that set up. That's how it should be. In fact, I just reviewed a text that didn't have that set up, and I said, it needs that set up. And I don't know if they are telling the editors to put that together or not, but I needed to know how to read the edited collection. And
Sure.
they didn't give me that.
Okay.
How's everybody doing so far? Okay?
I have something.
Uh-huh.
So, so what, since we're not putting out the call for papers, what are we collecting?
Articles?
Okay, or short stories?
No, it's all scholarship.
Okay.
It's all scholarship. So you go through journals, you go through other,
Yes.
yeah. So you go through the databases and you look at stuff. You're going to be compiling a bibliography that's all related, and then that's what you're going to be drawing from.
Okay.
I'll step you through it step by step.
How many sources did you?
How many did I say?
It just
I don't
says
think it
no
says
articles
it.
less than 10 pages. 3,000 words.
Yeah, you don't have a specific number.
Shame on me. I'll look and see what I've done
It's
in
the
the past.
final project. You've got a little bit of time.
Yeah. You won't have more than 10.
Thank you.
Yeah. By the time you get through that 10, you'll know your business.
Okay, sure.
Because you will have been writing this introduction to it. So that's what you're doing. You're being the editor. You're picking essays from here and from there that are on point for your topic, and you're putting them all together. There's a kitty cat. Who's kitty? Oh, more kitties. No, that's all right. Is that one of the? Is that one of the spotted?
Like an ocelot.
Yeah, I want one of those.
Oh wow! Is it an ocelot?
Yeah, he's like huge. He's humongous.
Oh,
Yeah. Oliver, he likes to do class with me. He likes to be on my laptop when I do homework too. So,
of course,
he's a big cat. Yeah. He doesn't think he is though.
We'll go over every class period. We will go over this assignment until you feel comfortable with it.
All right.
So our topic can be the same topic we choose for that if we were to assign it.
Yeah. So be thinking about that. And so that's why I opened it up to, if you have an idea, present it and we'll see what happens with that. Okay? I know, it's asking to think. I can barely build a syllable. Never mind. Yeah, it'll probably be right around 10. 8 to 10, I'd say. And you won't actually have to physically give me the articles, to.
So we're not giving you an actual book?
No.
Okay.
extra credit.
Not this one. No, because that would be like your heaven. So you can see here that, so for week 4, and you'll give me your overview of introductions to the edited collections so that I'll know what you're wanting to do. And you've got your, if you were to assignment, week 6, and then proposal, and then, so I've got it laid out.
It says there are 10 entries, so does that mean the 10 sources?
Oh, yeah. Well, no, it's not, they're not sources. Think of them as chapters.
10 chapters.
10 chapters. They're individual articles from journals. You can get them from other edited collections, and that'll probably be your two most common sources. Okay.
Okay, and so I see presentations 3 weeks in a row.
Oh,
man. So what are we presenting?
Your edited collection.
Oh, man.
You said chapters. Is it an article per chapter?
Yes.
Yes.
The article is the chapter.
Okay, so it's
synonymous.
So 10 sources, 10 chapters, 10 articles are all the same thing.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that is gonna be right around baby time.
So that means Jay gets to go first.
Yeah. And I did this for a couple of reasons. I put presentations at the end, and I gave 3 weeks because this is a pretty good sized class. And because it's winter and unpredictable as to weather. And there is I think I have at least one research day in there someplace. And there's Thanksgiving. If there's not a research day, I screwed up. But I don't think I did. Ah, looky there, week 6. You have an assignment due, but you're not due in class. But everything is linked. And what I'll try to do is actually do some work in class to show you how I'm going about it and how I want you, one way that you can go about it. Okay? I won't be able to complete anything because I can't. But I can show you some things. I know folks online are going to have some questions, but bear with me. I usually get it so everybody understands, right? Okay, and I give examples.
You don't leave any soldiers behind.
I do not.
You answer all the stupid questions. Yes.
They're not stupid.
I just learned to trust you in your process because over the summer, I loved how it was like overwhelming to choose topics so early on, especially in a summer course, but I loved just focusing on this evolving thing the whole time. And then when it came due at the end, it wasn't this horrible, monstrous thing. So we had been kind of progressing toward it that whole time. So I actually really appreciate it. So.
Experience.
Yeah.
And putting myself in your position.
I think that's
because
really
right now my head is just so spread out. My mind is so spread out right now that I can't imagine what yours is with the different classes that you're taking, the classes that you're teaching, and everything that you have to do in your life. I know it's just this huge thing that you have to organize and lasso. And right now, those skills, I'm really low on those skills. So I get it.
Yeah.
What's going on?
I know. I'm like, this is a.
I'm so sorry. She's so wired right now.
Is that a beagle?
She's part beagle, part German Shepherd.
Really cute though. Oh my gosh.
She's a disaster. My 14-year-old just got home, and so she's freaking out.
I think so. We got if you were to, the proposal and bid for edited collection, the edited collection itself, that's the final project. Presentations, discussion boards, productive questions, quizzes, and miscellaneous assignments. So let's do a few things here. And part of how we're going to talk about, okay, so face-to-face, online, and Zoom, there are some big advantages of Zooming in because I'll be putting together quizzes. I'm going to be they're overviews of the class and the readings, so that you actually listen to and watch the students who are online actually watch and listen to the videos and read the text. And I can't make you all read the text, and I'm not quizzing everybody, but if you're not streaming, you have to do that. You'll have 5 days after I upload the video to accomplish that. So, one of the things I have to go do after this class is to go write that quiz. And I hate to do that, I'm sorry, but I really want you to read this material so desperately. So if you Zoom in, you don't have to do that. If you are in class, you don't have to do that. Only if you're online do you have to do that. One of the really important thing that we have to talk about right up front is, how do we talk about race? I don't like to start a course like that, but you're adults. It's not like you're freshmen or even sophomores. You've had practice at this in different environments, and all of you've heard one form or another of my spiel. I'm white. There aren't that many professors of color in our department or in the university itself. So when it comes to talking about race, white people have to do that on occasion. And besides that, it's not the it's difficult to say, okay, if you're Latinx, then I want you to talk about Latinx literature, please. And that's mainly what you need to do. And that's putting quite a burden on one person to do all the work of that Latinx literature. Instead, we can share it this way, and then you can get those different perspectives. Our department has gotten better. We have now Ashanka Kumari. She's from the States, but she's Indian nationality. And then Tiffany Anderson is African American. And then our Spanish faculty are all Spanish. And I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. The rest are white, I think. So it's not exactly diverse. And think about this, my freshman 1302 class, I don't think I have any white students in that class. It's 2 or less. So here's all these students of color taking classes from white professors. It just doesn't seem right. So if I don't talk about it, I'm not going to depend on anybody else to talk about it, because it makes so many people so very uncomfortable. And I'm all right with that. But we do have to figure out how to talk about it, because there are some things that just don't work. We can't ask a Latinx student to speak on behalf of her entire culture, because there's no way to do that any more than I can speak on behalf of women or white women, period. I just can't. I can know my experiences. I can draw from the scholarship that I've read in the past, but I don't have the right to talk for all women, all white women. So there's that part. Then there's the language that we use, because I know very well it's difficult to keep up with what's appropriate and what's not, because it changes, as it has a right to do. People get to decide what they want to be called. A group gets to make that decision. Even at that, it's contested. So people of color right now is contested. It was perfectly fine for a little bit, but now some are saying, I'm not really quite satisfied with that term. Or it used to be, for instance, African American or Hispanic or Latino, Latina. And now it's Latinx, but not everybody knows that. So it's just a little bit challenging to figure out where we are on that. And so we're going to depend on each other to be better informed about all of it. And that includes me. I'm always reading and listening and finding out what I need to know from my colleagues and from my students. So we can do that. And sticking your foot in the mouth. It's going to happen. Good Lord, I don't know how many shoes I've ruined. Sticking my foot in my mouth. But I survived, and so did my students. And that's okay. I apologize and try to make it better. And there's one other really important thing that I wanted to bring up in how we talk. Oh yeah, it gets pretty contentious. Our class won't, I don't think. But when you start talking, when I, for instance, bring up white privilege, a lot of white people don't want to hear about that. They say, no, of course there's nothing. Whites are privileged? What do you mean? No, that couldn't be. And then they get mad when I say, yes, and let me show you how. And, you know, because it sounds like I'm blaming. I'm not. I'm just trying to offer insights into how all of that works. So there can be, it can get contentious. I get very passionate about how people don't pay attention, won't look. Dang it, white privilege is a thing. You need to know that, and that they don't believe me. That frustrates me. I know. They're white too, so they know they're not privileged.
So it's Latinx now.
From what
Hispanic, Spanish, never heard of Latinx.
You haven't? It's the new.
It must be the younger crowd.
It's the new thing. It's the new academic. I don't know. I don't know.
It has to do with
It's gender.
It's gender. It came up with the non-gender, like gender non-conforming students, and it's just a new range of like would just change to Latinx instead of Latino or Latina.
So that there's not that, because there's things in between and outside.
Yeah, but
that's why I've always just liked Hispanic, because in Spanish,
Mhm.
because it can mean either. I just didn't know that there was a new term now that is Latinx.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Or some say it Latinas, which I actually prefer, but it's not my word. I don't know which one is favored.
Dr.
So.
Stewart, have you read the book or heard of the book White Fragility, Why It's So Hard?
I sure have.
I was going to say, I just read that. It's a good book.
Yeah. Cornell, no. He wrote Dyson wrote the introduction. He was here last semester, or was it the semester before? Whoo, did he ruffle some feathers?
I'm sure.
Yeah, he ruffled some feathers. Feathers were flying. As they walked down and say, I have a question for you.
It's a bit of chicken fight. Tails, feathers.
Yeah, that's it. It was
I didn't go, but I heard.
fascinating. It was fascinating. And I'm very fortunate to have attended. I think we should probably, we don't have hardly any time left, do we?
An hour.
Okay. Any ideas about how we talk about race? Open mind.
I think we also have to come at it without a spirit of offense, like knowing that we're trying to come to common knowledge, and so don't look to be offended, look to understand, which goes along with the open mind.
We also have to come at it with the ability to be present and fully listen instead of listening to respond. We have to honor the experience and just hear it.
Yes. Very much so. How many times have you been nodding your head at somebody as they respond, as you formulate your own response, and so you're not really listening to what they say? I do. I've done that.
I'm really bad about doing that. Like, I ask people what their name is, and then I'm already thinking about telling them my name, and I don't listen to what they tell me. And so I'm like, okay, tell me again. Like, I'll listen this time.
And then you say, I'm really bad with names.
I know, it's not true, and I'm just selfish, and I have to listen to what you're saying. Self-analysis, right? Like, but I know that now, and I'm working on it. But I was just like, whenever I finally realized it, I was like, oh my gosh. So
we can be kind to each other. That's helpful. So, and I don't think that will be an issue. I know too many of you too well already. I've gone to conferences with some. Right, Jill?
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
It was quite an experience too, wasn't it?
It was indeed.
I was actually just sitting here debating about whether to talk about this right now or not, but I think I'm going to.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
It was just something that just recently happened to me that kind of stemmed from my mistake that I made at the conference. And it has to do with, well, what you're talking about, you know, with what's acceptable and what's not, and it changes, and how we know and how we don't know. And I don't know if you even remember the mistake that I got corrected on at the conference. It was I used the term Oriental instead of Asian, and it was not in my paper. I was talking about a character in a book that was part of my presentation in response to a question that was asked, and I know that wasn't correct, but at the time I honestly didn't, and I should have known, but I didn't.
No, you shouldn't have known. You haven't got enough practice in it.
And luckily, after the session, one of the ladies in the audience came up to me and just pointed it out to me. Of course, I was mortified. You know, I just realized, you know, that I'd made that mistake, and of course, won't ever make that mistake again. But you know, when I got home, you know, and I've lived my entire life here in rural area of Texas. I mean, I've lived in Austin, I've lived in Dallas, short amounts of time, but in general, I've lived right here. And everyone that asked me, how'd the conference go? And I said, well, it was great until I accidentally said something racist, you know, and I was just so upset. And everybody's like, well, what'd you say? And I tell them, and I just get blank looks. And there's like, well, we didn't know. Like, I have not encountered a single person in my group, my whatever you call it,
circle,
that knew that, you know, that knew that. And I'm not saying that's an excuse, but anyway, long story long, I'm in a Facebook group that's women over 40, and it's generally a progressive bunch, and it's a big group. But somebody had posted an article about the calling out culture, you know, and that it's kind of counterproductive to when people are trying to be allies. You know, we're trying to learn, we're trying to be helpful, we're trying to do the right thing, and we make mistakes. And calling somebody out in an aggressive manner is counterproductive. And that's what the article was about. And so in response to that, I just told briefly what I just told y'all, you know, that what happened at the conference. And I'm telling you, I got dogpiled. I mean, beat up over that. And women were just like, well, we can't understand how you didn't know that. How could you not know that? Well, you know, and I kept explaining. I said, well, I don't know. I didn't know it. All I can tell you is just, you know, we don't have really an Asian population around where I live, or I don't know. It just, you know, I'm 52. When I grew up, we said Oriental. I mean, that was the term you used if, you know, and we didn't say it in a racist way that I was aware of. Anyway, I got torn up pretty good about that, and it was mostly women from New York and you know, places, and they're like, oh, well, you're from Texas, that explains it, you know. And I just, oh my gosh. I don't know. I'm still a little raw from all that, you know, because this just happened like a week ago, and I'm not making excuses, you know, but I think people should take in consideration where a person is coming from as to how far we are in our journey here. Because had I been born and raised in New York City, I probably, you know, that's what they're like, well, we've known that since we were kids. And I'm like, well, but you live in a completely different environment, you know, than what I have grown up. And so I guess I'm saying give people a little credit for at least try.
And give them a chance.
And give me a chance. So that may be completely off topic here, but anyway.
No, it's completely on topic, in fact. And I probably won't say, oh, that's not a term in class. I wouldn't call it, it's not calling out for me necessarily. It's just kind of maybe redirecting. Although I almost need to, so everybody understands what's going on. So, for instance, using a term Native American, American Indian, I've gone to Indian because that's what most of the Indian scholars I read now use. I follow whatever the scholars writing on these topics use. That's my cue. And when it changes, I will change. But I explain why I'm doing what I'm doing and why I use that particular terminology. And no, we can't, even as progressive and as knowledgeable as I am, I still screw up. Of course I do. It's just that when they call me on it, I'm more practiced at responding to that. And I've developed a harder shell than I used to have. Has anybody been called out in this class before?
I actually have, but I don't honestly remember what it was now. And I don't think I was the one who, I'm trying to remember now, but long story short, it was about using the term white. And it was, I remember like a student had brought it up somehow by saying something about how like they were told, it was a African-American student, and that student said like that they were accused of acting white or something. And so we were talking, and so I had repeated that term or whatever since that student had said it, but another student kind of called me out, or by extension the student really, about really just disliking the term white because it sort of negated her heritage. She felt like because she was, if I remember right, Italian and something else. And so I thought that was an interesting conversation, but it made me uncomfortable in that instance because I don't know why, I just wasn't expecting it because I don't know, you know what I mean? Like I'm uncomfortable sometimes even with using African American or things like that because, I recognize that may not be the descent, but white is not something I'm really used to that being an issue, I guess, as much.
Yeah.
I ran into something similar. So for students who don't pass STAR, they have to do an IGC, the Individual Graduation Committee. And in my school district, it's the freshman level one is on the American Dream. And the sophomore level one is on civil disobedience. And so they have to, they read an excerpt from Farewell to Manzanar, and they read an excerpt about Rosa Parks. And so like several of our students are African American and Latinx. And so they're talking about how the white man told Rosa Parks to give up the seat. And several of the students who knew me had a real problem saying white man. They were like not wanting to look at me. And I'm like, well, because they have to present. And I'm like, what's the matter? And they're like, well, I go, I'm white. It's fine. Call it white. And they're like, but it's not you. I said, I know it's not me, but it's a fact of the story, so it's okay. Like you're just saying the man was white. That's how he was described. That's just so happens to be my skin color. It's fine. But like they were scared they were gonna be disrespectful of me by saying white, and I was like, I'm white, it's fine. Like it just setting that boundary ahead of time with them for the rest of the students was very helpful. Mm-hmm. So I think conversations, especially whenever we're going to talk about race, like conversations like this are pivotal. Mm-hmm. So
is Caucasian still okay?
I don't know. I don't even know what Caucasian means.
I was like on forms anywhere, it's all non-Hispanic and then white. It doesn't even.
I don't even know what Caucasian means anymore. I don't.
I wasn't sure either. When I was doing the responses for this week, I felt so uncomfortable because I didn't like the term colored people. I didn't like the term white people. I don't know why I was so conscious of the terminology. for some reason.
I wasn't
Maybe
sure
it's-
exactly which terms to use sometimes. I was like,
I ended up using Caucasian because I don't know. I don't like the term black or white. I don't know, like that's a personal thing for me. But yeah, I just felt for some reason I was very
That's why I didn't put it on discussion board. That's why I had you upload as individual assignments.
Yeah, which I appreciate.
Because, yeah. So I will be able to draw those things out and talk about them without embarrassing anybody, or, you know, just these are things that we need to talk about and we need to bring them out into the open because it festers underneath.
Right.
Well, and I
It
think
gets
that
us
goes.
nowhere.
Sorry, I was going to say
Go
though,
ahead.
I think that goes to what Jolynn was saying though, that it's so pivotal that we are able to engage in these kind of discussions as students and as teachers and professionals in knowing that it is uncomfortable. And as you said at the beginning of class, you know, we have to learn how to exist in our discomfort. In my junior AP class, no, I'm sorry, in my senior AP class, we're reading a short story that's got some racial slurs in it. And before we even started reading it, one of the things we looked at was a quote from Brian Stevenson when he was on The Daily Show about 5 years ago, where he talked about how in America, we're so afraid to discuss the history of racism. Yet if you go to other countries where horrible things have happened, and he used the example of Nazi Germany, if you go to Germany, he said you're forced to confront the history. But in America, we're afraid to confront it. And I thought that was a powerful statement. And that's something my students and I have been grappling with, because it is uncomfortable as a white teacher to be facing a group of students where, kind of like what you said, where you've got maybe 2 white students in one of your classes. My population is primarily African American and Hispanic. And so it's very uncomfortable, and we have to learn how to exist in that discomfort and have those conversations.
Yeah, we started in 1302. It started without me, the discussions of race, so I had to come into it. But yeah, and I didn't feel uncomfortable. I wanted them to understand that I understand as much as I can. I will never, ever fully understand. But that doesn't mean I can't work on it every day of my life and be reflective about it every day of my life and show them how to be reflective about it. So that's kind of one of my goals as I go through that. I do want to, I don't know if anybody used the term political correctness. Don't use that word, that term for me. What it says, and if you did, I won't say anything about it to you individually or anything like that. But I kind of hate saying this, but I kind of think of it as being lazy. If you accuse somebody of being politically correct, you're calling yourself lazy. Because that person who is being so-called politically correct is taking the time to think this through and think about how it might feel to be in that position. So what is wrong with that? Nothing. It takes a little extra work. The person who is dismissive in using the term, oh, you're just being politically correct. No, I'm actually trying to be kind of sensitive to what other people experience. So maybe you should try that. And then I'll slap him. No, no, I won't.
But you'll imagine doing it.
But I'll imagine doing it. Yeah, because I can't get sued for imagination.
Right.
I'm kidding. No, I can't. But so politically correct and used in a derogatory way, no. Used in a dismissive way, absolutely not. It's work. You know, it's so much work to live right in our culture, to live well and to let other people live well. How big is my soapbox? I need to get off it. Anyway, you know where I stand. But I try to be understanding to. So what I did, it's kind of interesting what didn't get covered in, I went through all of the responses and I categorized them as to who answered. Now I might have gotten them wrong because I'd get confused once in a while, because I do. So for instance, in chapter 1, how interesting that so many people responded to this question. It was Jamisa, Emily, Allie, Jennifer, Ellison, and Walker, Katie, and Kirsty.
I had that one highlighted. I just chose not to, because I highlighted the question as I was reading. I didn't answer questions until I was done. So I highlighted questions I thought would be good questions to answer, and I had highlighted that one too.
Okay, so this says, most people of color believe that the world contains much more racism than white folks do. What accounts for this difference?
Well, in the book, at one point, it mentions that white people don't even consider white a race. You know, we just consider ourselves people. Mm-hmm. And I think that's
white privilege right there.
Right, exactly. We're the default.
Yes.
And I think that is probably kind of part of it, is we just don't, it's not something that we really have to deal with on a daily.
Well, the question is problematic. So, you know, whenever you get a question, take a minute and take it apart. Because when you start doing that, you're going to see gray. I want to know,
who did they poll?
Who did they poll? How many is the majority? Is it 51%? Is it 78% of either way? I need to know that information because that tells me.
And what is most? What people later?
Yeah, bad question. Bad question. I get it.
Also, are they asking why people of color believe this or why it is so?
Ooh.
And there's a paper topic.
I was going to say, and that's why he wrote about Glenda being the tornado.
Okay, so talk about this, about what some of your ideas about. So since so many did.
Well, I just thought just to get to like just what the question is kind of asking, if we just read it once and then answer it, it's very much just, how are we supposed to, of course, we don't see as much racism as there is in the world. Because, it even talks about in the book how when people of color go to look for a loan and apply for a loan and they don't get that loan, we're not going to know about that. Because when we go apply for a loan, we're probably going to get it. So, of course, we're not going to see, the racism because we don't live that way.
And because it's systemic.
Yeah.
And it's that invisibility for us.
Right. So that was like really what got to me. And especially it depends on who you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with a bunch of people who are exactly like you, that's all you're going to know.
Exactly.
So you have to be more open to learning about more cultures and not just shutting everything down that's not like you. So that was kind of why I really wanted to answer that.
Mm-hmm.
I talked about experience because I think we all kind of have our different version of reality. So I was talking about how experience informs perspective and reality. So there's groups of people that have a shared experience, their realities are going to be shared.
Mm-hmm. And influence. And
exactly.
Yeah, I said.
Anybody else want to address?
Yeah, I was going to say, I said pretty much the exact same thing, but through the lens of education. So, as educators have these inherent biases and things like that. However, consciously, that's getting brought into even just teaching students about from a very, very young age about these, real world issues and things like that concerning race. That definitely accounts for that, or beliefs are either reinforced or they shift, right, because of education. But most of my response kind of dealt with what you said before. I just broke the question down. I just said this question is so flawed for a lot of reasons, in my opinion, that I really didn't accept the premise in that sense.
And that's really what you have to do at all times with these questions, and when you're figuring out your own productive questions. Yeah, I'm glad you did that, and that you brought it up in class. That Yeah, that's a problem. That question isn't a good question.
Yeah, because it's funny because, it's like you always have that weird kind of feeling as a student, you know what I mean? It's like I wanted to do this assignment and answer this question, and I felt really weird, but I just kept coming back to that, and I was, because we've been building all these rubrics and things like that for our students in school, and we're so adamant about language that's concrete. And when I just saw that word of most people, I was like, what is that? What does that mean? And, and then the ambiguity of the second question there, what accounts for this, and I kind of echo, I don't remember the man who said that earlier, but he's just asking for, what accounts for this as a fact. And I said, you'd have to accept that, first of all, that is true, that most people of color believe blah, 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 before moving on to answering it. So I definitely got stuck there and just kind of kept coming back to that. So, but I discussed experience as well, which was already shared, but education, I think, certainly factors into that, or the lack thereof, of course, or the absence of it. So.
And the demographic is going to make a huge difference.
Right.
If you're talking to a group of very liberal individuals, they're going to have a different opinion than a group of very conservative people. Because, and I hate to make this distinction, and it's not exactly correct, so take this with a grain of salt. More liberal people are generally more likely, and there's some, generally more likely. I can't posture any more than that. To say, I'm not sure about that question, and then others are going to say that if they agree with it, then they're not going to think about it necessarily.
Right. Okay. I understand what you're saying there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't require as much thought because it's already an accepted truth for them.
Exactly. In this class, if you ask that question, how many of you think the world contains more racism? And we could break it down, but I think we get a different answer if we took it to somebody else. Not in this class, not in this university. We're plagued with that, when you start thinking about these things, it can be a curse. Okay, is race or class more important in determining one's life chances?
I really wanted to address this question first. I was trying to do multiple chapters. Like I didn't want to spend all my questions in one chapter, but yeah, that was definitely a very intriguing question to me.
What did you think of it?
Honestly, like, as a very poor person growing up, I probably would have said class. You know what I mean? As a white person growing up, I was always a minority. So I felt like I definitely dealt with a lot of racism, not in a good way toward myself growing up. So I feel like I could reasonably have spoken on both. But I feel like there's just so much that hinders a person of class, obviously much more so if you take into intersectionality into account there, where maybe you're a person of color and you're poor, compounding that. But I would say class there for myself, although both are flawed because there's so many variables there. So
yeah, it's not a good question.
No, it's not.
Your personal background. Like I am currently very poor, and so my thought would be class, because I know if I can't get above the poverty line, I'm not going to have as many life chances. But that's coming from my own history. I can't speak for anybody else, honestly, because everyone else will have a different answer.
Well, my knee-jerk reaction is class, same reasons, and also because I've read. I guess I'm more well-read with class. In education, you focus on class a lot more than you focus on race. Like whenever you're being brought through the system, because you have to talk about kids who are in poverty and how do you overcome the widening achievement gap that is associated with class more so than with race. And so my knee-jerk reaction was class, but the more I read, the more it was talking about how certain races are associated with certain classes. And so that I'm like, yes to both. It's all bad. Like it's not one or the other. It's both.
Yeah.
That was my knee-jerk reaction, is that it's both.
Can you possibly separate them?
No.
I don't think so. I think that no matter what, they're going to go hand in hand, because excluding racial status for a moment, if you are living in poverty, or if you are considered of the lower economic status, you face obstacles. If you bring race into it and exclude class, you face obstacles. When they're both combined, the obstacles are can be so numerous. How can you separate them both? Because, and then even if you do separate them, and let's say race, but what if you're in a marginalized group within the race, come into Caucasian, white, but you are transgendered, or you are homosexual, you face problems that impede your life chances because people are discriminating against you for that. They're inescapable to me. They're both so intertwined because there's so much more that goes into them as well. I don't know if that made any sense.
Yeah, it does. This little word race is the one that kind of. Alex, did you make your point? Make your point first.
I said class originally because the book talks about how at different points in history, based on what the broader society wants, races can kind of fluctuate in esteem or value, and that can go back and forth. Whereas I was thinking, if you're really, really poor, I don't really see how that's going to be empowering in any way. But then the question was, what is a counter argument that somebody would have with this? And my thinking was, let's say you are a really, really poor person and you suddenly become rich over the course of your life. The experience that you have is going to then depend on what your race is. If you go from being a poor white person to a rich white person, your experience is totally different from a poor African American to a rich African American.
Well, and it said in here later on that that if you were a poor white person, you became a rich white person, you were more likely to stay there generationally. Like your family was more likely to stay there than if you were a poor African American person and you became more well-to-do. The likelihood of you staying there is less than a white person staying there. So yeah, I found that's flipped me.
That was one thing That's one thing I took into consideration too, was like longevity. Because class, through just being, I was very, very poor as a kid, and now I'm getting my master's degree, you know what I mean? So for me, it's like the advantages afforded to low income are certainly available, at least in our country. So yes, you could technically outgrow that class, right? But you're like going to be whatever race you are forever. But I feel like really at the end of the day, the flaw in the question really is that nobody's immune. Like even if you outgrew your class and you became a rich white person, you're not immune to, negative racial, slurs towards you for your race, nor would a, person of color who outgrew class, or if that was ever an issue, they would never be immune to being made to feel a certain way because of their race. So regardless of that, I don't think anybody's immune to the problems that come with either.
A lot of novels with African-American adolescents. I had a colleague in graduate school whose dissertation was on getting out of adolescence alive as a black male in adolescent literature. I can't remember. It was a really clever title, and I can't remember what that was. But
Dr. Austin's?
Yes.
I had Dr. Austin. He was my professor at Stephen F.
Yeah. And he wrote his dissertation on it, sitting outside. And Greg, you answered this, and I read that same book. Have you read any books published before 1989, perhaps, that were works of critical race theory, even if they were not designated as such?
Yes, ma'am. That really caught my attention and really got me started to thinking about racism and looking at it from a white perspective to a different, larger view of things. I hadn't really thought of it. I just, as you're growing up, you're just happy-go-lucky. You're just trying to be a kid, and then as you transition into adulthood and you run across books like that, and it kind of, makes you see things a little bit differently. And that's the book that did it for me. And I constantly.
What was the book?
Black Like Me by John Howard Griffin.
Yep. Anybody else read it?
It's if you haven't read it, it's a pretty interesting book. This gentleman who was a journalist took a whole bunch of chemicals and transformed his body into looking authentically like a black man. And he went and traveled throughout the South during the, I think 1959. I might be a little off on the date, but I think in the late 50s to be sure. And then wrote about his experience of being a black man from a white man's perspective, and just totally changed how he was treated just because of what his skin was, not because of who he was. Same guy, just different skin color. Just a pretty powerful book, and it's a very well renowned book. I think it's still being published. We're still pretty popular. If you get a chance, if you get some off time, I think it's a good read. I think there's a little bit of bias to it. The gentleman worked for a black magazine, and so I think he was trying to maybe sell some interest in it, but I don't think that he fabricated anything that he wrote. So.
And then you identified the problem with your own response.
Yes, ma'am.
Which was what?
About about him being the working for the black company, the Sepia magazine, I think.
And that he's white.
I'm sorry.
And that he's white. I mean,
that's right.
He's a white man, however you might define that. So that it takes a white man taking drugs to change the color of his skin in order to make a point.
Yeah, and I could be wrong, but I think the gentleman actually ended up later in his life dying because of the chemicals that he took.
Probably gave him cancer.
Yes, ma'am.
I bet. Yeah. There's also a book that I read. It was written during the Harlem Renaissance, and I can never remember the name of it. But man, is it, it's really interesting. Let's see, novel, Harlem Renaissance.
Passing.
It's Black No More. 1931 work of speculative fiction. Lets readers know that this is going to be a wild ride. Rips into myths of white supremacy, black nationalism, and the American dream. Follows a black man named Max Disher as he gambles on a new invention, the black-off machine, that turns black folks white. That's it. Here's Schuler's own story. It is a fascinating novel because so what happens is these African Americans are undergoing this. They get treatments at this machine, and it turns them white. And then all of a sudden, white people don't know if they're really white. And then I think, if I recall correctly, it does a switch where the white people start trying to be darker. And I can't remember exactly. I have to remember it again. But it is a wonderful satiric read. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. Black No More.
Isn't there a Dr. Seuss book that talks about that, like Sneeches on Beaches or something like that?
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Sneeches.
Yeah, the Sneeches.
The Sneeches.
teaches on beaches where they get stars on their bellies, and then the people or the ones that don't have stars, then they want stars or something like that. I don't know. I think Dr. Seuss also addressed this.
Yes. I'm hopping up to chapter 5. Is a police program that keeps an eye on Muslims and mosques racist, or is it merely a sensible measure aimed at improving the security of all Americans? Will it go down in history as a shameful action like Japanese internment? Shay, you answered that.
I answered it with a pretty affirmative, at least the first part of the question, a pretty affirmative yes. Just because my thoughts are, if we pick one type of person, one group of people to keep a closer eye on, how is that not racist? And then really, for all we know, these people are just trying to live their everyday lives. Just because one or two people of a different color, no matter what color, perform such a terroristic act does not mean everybody of that color is going to as well. And
right, because look at all the people who
right, and I mentioned that. I said, look at domestic terrorism, and you'll see, a whole bunch of white people are just, it's across the spectrum. It doesn't matter. Evil is evil. And I mentioned that. I was like, if we're keeping such a close eye on these people, we need to keep a close eye on these people. Everybody, not just a group. It's the security of all Americans. Well, then we need to big brother everybody. And I did say that yes, it would go down as a shameful act, as like the Japanese internment. While we're not gathering these people up and putting them in a different location, we're still separating them.
I should count Guantanamo Bay.
Right. Well, I mean, in a generalized way.
Right. I know.
Right.
I'm just being snarky.
We're still segregating them from the general population by feeling like we have to, watch these people for violations, and the majority of them are not. These people are being beaten and harassed, and there could be the nicest people ever. And just because we, generally say, oh, this group are terrorists, regardless of whether we know the person or not, it's clearly, in my mind, it's clearly a racist act or decision. So that's how I answered that question. And I don't really recall if I gave a contradiction to it. It's been a minute since my brain doesn't like to keep things in its head anymore.
I understand.
But yeah, no, I agree with the emphatic affirmative to the question.
Well, I know it's not time, but I want to make sure that everybody knows what's coming up. How many of you have read Planet of Junior Brown? Nobody? It doesn't surprise me. I mean, it's an award-winning novel, but it's really, really different. And you might feel like you're kind of wandering a bit in a fog with it.
I started it
because
last night.
It's different. Yeah?
I started it last night. I was tired. Just the first chapters, so I was tired anyways, late. But I have to admit, I kept thinking I was reading the words wrong. I mean, it's a really odd choice of words, and the way it's written is like you're saying. I'm glad to hear you say that, because I thought maybe I was just losing it.
No. It's gonna take some getting used to. And you will never know exactly what happens.
Oh, that's frustrating.
Well, I mean, I don't think you'll know what's real and what's not. Let me put it that way.
That's reassuring.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I started the first 2 chapters this morning.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on it so far?
The shifts in perspective, like you're saying, it's hard to tell what's real and what's not, even so early in it. And how much the characters, even this early, we're getting to know how much they're hiding from each other. That's been very interesting. It's very compelling. It's a good read.
I think so too. Virginia Hamilton is incredible, and she has a really big. She's written I don't know how many novels, and I don't know how many award-winning novels. But and I read a lot of her stuff. But she's quite amazing. And if you saw the title of the class, and I don't actually remember what I titled it, something about invisibility and resistance. The first part that we're going to talk about is invisibility and what happens and how it happens and who it happens to and who chooses to be invisible and who doesn't choose to be invisible, and this really interesting combination. And I put these three novels together. It's Fade by Robert Cormier.
I've actually started that.
Yeah, and Feed by M.T. Anderson. How many of you have read Feed? Yeah, it doesn't do so well to become invisible in that novel. And then Planet of Junior Brown. And I put them together especially so that you can see the different formulations of invisibility. And then you're going to be reading an article that I wrote on invisibility in adolescent literature. So that it was pretty early on, and I think I was one of the first people to do whiteness studies. And I didn't even know I was doing whiteness studies when I did it. And if you want to know what whiteness studies is, it's an approach to literature that looks at how white privilege works. It's not advocating for whiteness. It's the opposite. It's making white people aware of their whiteness and what it brings to the table. And I use Invisible Man, Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man, kind of as a touchstone in order to do that, because you're going to see some similarities in Planet of Junior Brown if you've read Invisible Man by Ellison, because he lives in the basement and takes power from the power company, and he remains off the grid, and it's pretty interesting what happens. But anyway, so productive questions. What are productive questions? Well, they lead to provocative, interesting, sustained discussions. So a question about why, let's see, what would not be a productive question? Why an author chooses to, makes a particular choice. Because we can't ever really know, but you can reframe that and not asking about a particular choice, but making, asking, I don't know, I can't think of one.
How it might have been different if the author had done something else, maybe?
That could, yeah, you could do that.
I'm trying to take what you said.
Yeah, you could do something like that. Productive questions are not yes and no, and they're not, the questions that CRT that are asked in that, a lot of them are not productive questions because we get hung up on the question itself. Mm-hmm. And although that can be productive in itself, in thinking about, well, that's not how you ask that question. That's not going to get us anywhere. And we're not seeking answers because we're not going to find them, but that we are seeking answers. We're not going to find them, but it's the journey through that process that's going to be the most interesting for us, I think. So you wouldn't say what is Mr. the janitor? What's his name? I can't remember his name. Why is he letting them do this? Why is he letting them do this? He shouldn't be doing that. He's an adult. Why is he? It's not okay to steal. Why is Hamilton kind of suggesting that it's okay to steal? Something like that. You can reframe it and I'll help you as we go along and getting to those places. So you're going to be find this article, solar systems and power systems, and then identify 2 productive questions regarding planet and 2 productive questions requests for clarification or observations regarding solar systems. So it's all about questions. The best thing you can do is learn how to ask good questions. We're taught that the answer is the thing, but that's not true. The question is the thing. If you stream in, you need to do nothing else except doing the reading and the discussion. If you want to, I'm not sure how well I'll be able to get back to depending on how many emails I get. You can send me an email and say, is this a productive question? And I'll help you on that.
Where's the second?
I don't have it up.
Oh.
I do not have that up. That was in the plan. That was in the plan, but I don't have it up.
Do we have to
Yes.
submit these questions or just bring them?
Are you gonna have a spot where it's?
Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's already.
That's an assignment, right?
I actually did it. Oh, but I forgot to put the one up for the article.
Is there any particular way you want us to submit them? Like, do you want them in a Word document? Do you just want them in the text box? Like,
Yeah.
In the Word document.
No Word document.
so their header and all that good stuff?
Yeah.
Just what are you thinking?
Well, I was gonna ask that, and is it okay if it's a PDF document?
No.
Okay, so.
And I'll explain about the PDFs and anything else but Word, because I make comments frequently on documents and I can't do that on PDF. Although I just saw a different, I think I can now, but I'm not sure. Yeah, do Word for now.
And I'm probably gonna put my header on there anyway, just because I'm OCD about first names.
Me too.
But
I do.
That's okay. You can.
you know me, I have to think I don't sit in my spot, so headers are the same way.
Yep. No, that's just fine. So I'll see what I can do about getting those productive questions up. I'll go back through CRT and see, because they do ask productive questions, but some of them aren't because they're flawed questions.
Right.
So, I had freshman students one time read an article on the tradition of the golem, which is a monster that was created in order to protect the Jews, and it kind of got out of hand. And so they were asking questions like, where is this country? Well, look it up. That's not no. So you can kind of see where that went.
Thought-provoking questions.
Yes, thought-provoking. There's nothing thought-provoking about
Don't give
that.
me something I can just Google.
Exactly.
Right, I was totally thinking
I teach my students
hospice.
that, level
So-
1, level 2, level 3, like you need to take it up off the page. That's what I tell them to do.
Yeah. Take it to the solar system.
They'll be like, there it is.
Yeah.
That's not a good question.
And again, I'm having you do it in assignments instead of discussion boards, because I want you to I don't want somebody else to influence you as you read somebody else's discussion board. Although that can be really handy and helpful. Okay, guess what? We're done. So you get out a little early for me.
That's
That's a lot of it early.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, it's only 10 minutes early, because I never take, because I don't give you a break.
right.
So it's always 10 or 15 minutes shorter than it would normally.
Sometimes.
I was starting to say, we typically run
we
seven
ran late to 10, man, like.
Yeah, but the class is supposed to go to 7:10.
Right. No, that's what I was saying, like, the late one.
The late class.
The late class, we were all getting
out of here after 10.
Well, I suppose we like to talk.
You just stayed around. That was not my fault.
Totally not your fault.
I hope you don't mind that we're doing that. But it's for the good of all, I'm sure. Online students, you'll want to, oh, never mind. You'll see it later. Never mind. I look forward to reading. Oh, who's that? We have a visitor. Hi, Katie.
Auditing the books.
Who's this?
Yeah, they do.
Hi. All right. It's been a pleasure. Yes.
Anybody else's? I'm not. What are you using the 7th or 8th edition of MLA?
8. But so it's actually easier once you get your head around it.
Yeah, I mean, I still always open up my Purdue Owls.
Yeah, go to Purdue Owl. Purdue Owl. Did I put writing tips up there?
I haven't added them yet.
I will.
I just.
Dr. Stewart, those writing tips are awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You like them.
Thank you for that over the summer. It was just so short. It was like, thank you. That's all I need to know.
That's all I need to know. Yeah, I should probably write a book.
You really ought to.
I think you should.
All right. Say again, Jennifer.
I said I think you should make a little pocketbook, a little handbook.
Okay, I'll do that.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. See you next week.
Good night, everyone.